There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment. And here, we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And we are really excited today because we've got a great guest in Rochelle. How are you? Did you, between the last show and this, did you get something to eat?
Yes, I stretched, I chugged water, I got something to eat. My brain is back and focused. And as Kevin said, we are very excited. We are ending the last day of this month with an amazing and incredible audience of guests that we've been able to have. So for our last show today, we welcome Cole Devlin. He does incredible work with people. There is so many things that you do in so many different ways. So I'll let you talk about all of that. But first, how are you?
I'm doing well, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. What a cool setup. And that intro is so legit. So just happy to be here and thanks for having me.
Oh, you are more than welcome. So let's see. CBPC, MSW, LSWAIC. Are there any other letters behind your name you'd like to mention?
Soon to be, but I think they'll be swapping some of them out. And yeah, I know that's an alphabet soup. So if you guys need me to go through it, I'd be happy to. But also, as I tell my story, I might be able to kind of illuminate on that anyway. So.
Would love to. Now, you are a younger individual who works with even younger individuals. You work with the Youth of America, and as we were talking about before the show, and Rochelle can attest to it because she's got a whole pack of teenagers that follow her around. That it's kind of tough out there for kids these days, isn't it?
It definitely is. I think it's tough out there for everyone right now, but particularly for young people who lack the lived experience and foresight to see that hopefully better times are coming. And so there's a definite need to support our youth out there. And I look forward to talking about that today and how everybody can contribute to something like that.
Absolutely. Rochelle, you have got a bunch of teenagers that follow you around. How are they doing?
They're doing good. Thank goodness that I've heard a lot of them come to me, Cole, and you've probably experienced this as, well, I don't want to be a burden. And I have been able to tell all of them, you are my blessing, whether you're mine or not, which none of them are, but they are. And it gives them the freedom and the space and the trust that even if they don't have a mom, a dad, a grandma, any sort of a guardianship that they can lean on and trust, they call me. So
that's beautiful.
I've gotten plenty of calls from them already. Can we go to this party? Can we do this? Can we go there? This is what time. This is where we'll be. And none of them are mine, but I feel so blessed to have the opportunity to tell them no. And on top of that, for them to trust, if Rochelle says no, there's a reason for it. She's here to protect us. She's here to love us. And she's also here to forgive things that we may do that we don't even understand, and talk about it with them and help them through their own processing. So I have to ask you, more than we are even teaching them, we're learning, right?
Absolutely. I learned so much from the youth that I work with. It's definitely a two-way street, not just a one-way street. So
yeah.
I'm very fortunate to actually be in this position and learn as much as I have the last few years, and just happy to share some of that with y'all today.
Well, let's talk about, I don't know, you and you and your past, because you're still a young man. I vaguely remember when I was your age, and it was a long time ago. But Cole, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you end up being a social worker for kids at the 10? You're barely out of diapers yourself, by the way, young man.
Well, just for the audience, I'm 32 years old, and I know I got a baby face, but if I shave this little beard I got, my gosh, I look like I'm still 17 or 18. But, sometimes that sometimes works in my benefit, though, because I can walk around community centers and people don't really look at me as if I'm out of place. So it's something that I've grown to appreciate. When I was younger, I tried to grow the beard just so people would treat me my actual age. And now that I'm 32, I like that people think I might be a little bit younger. So, but yeah, thank you, Kevin, for the segue to start talking about my story. I kind of will just go through the basics of it and then lead into how that's led me to the work that I'm doing. And then also some of the hopes and dreams that I've been able to foster or cultivate the last few years, thanks to this work and the position I'm in. But hello, everybody. My name is Devlin. I use he, they pronouns. The alphabet soup behind my name is really just something I do within my field because it's a way that we get recognition, but they're just letters, y'all. It stands for Certified Peer Counselor, Master of Social Work, Licensed Social Worker, Associate Independent Clinical, because I'm actually working towards my independent clinical licensure and just have to take a big test now. And I'm just kind of waiting for the right time. I'm trying to time it up with something. So that'll be replacing the last one here soon. But as Kevin alluded to, I'm a 32-year-old from Seattle. I currently live in West Seattle, which is my home neighborhood, my hometown. And I'm very fortunate to do so in an area that unfortunately has changed quite a bit in the last decade or two. And I feel lucky to still be hanging on and have the roots that I do in this area. Because 32 years ago, I was born in West Seattle and lived here for most of my childhood and adolescence. And if anybody's familiar with the Seattle area, West Seattle is a really special part of the city that's kind of its own peninsula that houses, I think, like 100,000 people on its own. And so I grew up in the northern part of West Seattle, which was definitely an area with resources and supports for families and youth. And that's a big part of my story and how I was able to work towards this current position that I'm in, which thankfully is a stable one and one that incorporates all of my passions and hobbies. But to take it back to the beginning, I'm somebody who you might look at me with my happy-go-lucky attitude and say, oh, he's never really struggled with depression, anxiety, things like that. But I actually think I was somebody who was born with a little bit of a chemical imbalance in that when I was about 4 or 5 years old, some of my first conscious thoughts were anxious ones, worrying about things, wondering if I was enough in different situations, if I truly was lovable, being my authentic self. And that's a pretty heavy thing for young people to go through. And I don't think that it's really that uncommon for some young people who are perceptive or really trying to think about their place in the world. So this is where I say I have a wonderful family, very loving, very supportive. They've been there for me every step of the way. But because we're still getting into an era where we're talking openly about mental health and people are being vulnerable with their stories, there really weren't many people to look up to or stories to follow for me as a young person that would guide me down the current path that I've been going on of healing and recovery and growth. And so I was able to kind of make it work as a young person. I went to good schools. I was a public school kid who got a shot at a private school because of a wonderful family that were our neighbors called the Blazes. They're amazing people. They might be watching right now. But I just was given a lot of opportunities to grow into myself and shine. And despite that, I still dealt with a lot of heavy thoughts and unfortunately thoughts of, do I really belong here? And so when I was about 12 years old, I tried therapy for the first time. But it was like the movie style setup where I was sitting on the couch. The therapist was like 10 feet away, looking at their clipboard. They had me go through a DBT workbook. And I was like, I just did homework for school like an hour ago. I don't want to do this right now. And so unfortunately, then I was like, thanks, no thanks. I'm not really interested in doing this right now. But as I went through life and was a teenager, when things just kind of start to percolate a little bit, get a little bit more serious, I realized that I was really struggling with myself. And I thought that if I pursued being a psychologist or somebody who understands the human mind, maybe I could be my first client. But also having the thought that I really want to help people. If other people feel this way, maybe I can find community in this and not feel so alone in my struggle or my journey, which unfortunately at some points, despite having wonderful family and community around me, I did feel very alone because I didn't see the representation or visibility of somebody fighting with these things and actually coming out on like the winning side of it. So when I went to college at the UW my first time, getting my bachelor's in psychology and communication, because I was still thinking maybe I could be a psychologist, maybe I could work this out, I got assigned to another counselor at the school. And the UW is massive. The University of Washington is massive for anybody who's unaware. And so I got assigned to a counselor who, for the freshman class, offered 30-minute support sessions for everybody A through G last name at the University of Washington in the freshman class, which is thousands of people. And so I got a little bit of a shot at therapy as an adult and was like, okay, this does feel better, but this isn't quite it. How do I get there? And so after college, when unfortunately a big reality check sometimes comes in for young people of who am I? What the heck am I doing out here? I decided to really lean into living with my parents and having the Affordable Health Care Act actually being rolled out at that time so I could use Medicaid and go get mental health services at a place called Valley Cities in South Seattle. And I treated that as my job for a while because I really wanted to get right with myself, understand my mind better, and set myself up to be the person that I've always dreamed of being instead of just continually pushing that off. And so that's where things really picked up for me because I was fortunate to be seen by somebody there who was like, "You really like working with people, don't you? You want to do something in this field." And I was like, "Yeah, I do. I just don't know how to get into it at this point because despite having the fancy education and being a white guy with an extensive education and some means who makes words sound good, I wasn't finding many opportunities." And so going through therapy and having somebody see within me this light of, I want to use my story, I want to help affect situations for young people, I just want to contribute to this world. She was able to see that I could be a really good peer counselor, or what we now call peer support specialist. And within a month of learning about that, I was able to get into this training, which doesn't usually happen that fast. And then later on, I became Valley City's very first youth peer counselor in something called Wraparound. And that's where my story really took off because I was able to then incorporate everything that I'm doing now and everything that I've been through in the past with hopefully what I'm working towards in the future. And so maybe I'll stop at this point just to kind of give it a sec to breathe, but then I can start to get into my work and how my career started and what it's like leading up to or adding up to at this point.
Well, I just got to say, you two young people, I feel like an old, you two young people, like when you were going through the rec centers and stuff, if I went through the rec centers, they'd be looking for a walker to help me through. But in any event, how did you guys, both of you are on a path, but Cole, how did you know all of the stuff that you wanted to do when you were like a late teenager, early 20s? I was just trying to figure out how to date girls then.
That's a really good question, Kevin. And I think ultimately it comes down to the fact that I spent so much time in my own mind as a young person that one of my only ways out of it was thinking, what is this all going to add up to? What can this lead to? And so for me, it unfortunately kind of felt like a life or death thing of, can I find my place in this world and like where I can make an impact so that I feel as if I truly belong and can stay around a while. And thankfully, I was kind of thinking about going the opposite direction of the one that I ultimately headed in, getting the fancy degree, being a psychologist, maybe very likely being the person sitting 10 feet away with the clipboard and acting as if, well, my education and fancy degree tells me that you're going through this and I'm the expert here. I actually ended up going the complete opposite path in my own mental health recovery journey, becoming a peer counselor, a peer support specialist, where it's a flattened hierarchy. We're walking alongside people, not talking in front of them. Look at me, I'm the person. And we empower people to live their truth and to continue writing their own stories and find places in mental health or even in the library system here in Seattle. There's now peer support specialists, people who are just amazing advocates who are going to be on the same level with you and invite you to share in a way that feels empowering for you. Finding that and actually entering the field that way just solidified for me that maybe I was thinking about this the wrong way. And I got to be open to the process and the fact that I didn't know all the different ways to get into this field or what might lead me forward. But I'm very glad that I had an open mind about it.
Well, before
Kevin, go ahead, Michelle.
Yes, you may. Before we get too far into where your journey has brought you and all the things you've learned, when you had that moment and you said, I saw the visionary and I knew what could be possible, is it exactly how you pictured then, or is it more than that?
Ooh, it's a great question. It's more. It's easily exponentially more because I used to go through every scenario in my head 1,000 times. And for those that are not familiar with like the inner workings of anxiety, that is anxiety when you just ruminate on something for forever. But I just kept thinking about like, it has to be this way. It has to work out. Otherwise, what am I doing here? How do I have staying power? But then in being open to the process and going the more grassroots way, the more mutual aid way, the more, despite me having a bunch of fancy degrees, there can be somebody who never graduated high school and has multiple kids and is working 3 jobs that has more wisdom than me on many topics. And so I just grew to be open to the fact that we can take a lot of different routes to becoming our best selves. And I think I was a little too rigid as a kid who really wanted to control everything in order to deal with my anxiety. I needed to let go of that to some degree and pursue a kind of
You
Yep, right.
you were a control freak as a teenager?
Oh, control freak as a kid too. I was the one who cleaned my rooms. All my friends know that I'm very meticulous in my organizing. When I was a kid, I was grasping at straws to find some way to feel like, okay, I got some control going here. Because that's ultimately at the root of a lot of mental health, the lack of control, lack of power. And so seeing that now, I'm just so glad that I was open, because maybe I wasn't the most open-minded person as a teenager. I was a punk rock kid who was a hipster about coffee and music and everything else. But now I have a much more open-minded dang near anything, including music, that has led me to places that I could never even dreamed of as a kid. And so, yeah, just really on a magical ride at this point, and thankful for all the opportunities that got me here.
And well, you ain't done yet, kid. You're just getting started. But we
Hope
need
so.
to take a quick break. But if you're listening right now and you know Cole, you can comment in the comment section, and we'll put it on so that you can say hello or ask a question or whatever, or say, where did the punk rock haircut go, or something like that. I don't know, but we we need to take. Yeah, I know. We need to take a quick break. Cole Devlin is with us, and he is. You make my heart warm. Both of you do, because we're leaving the next generations, and you guys are leaving us in better shape than what you found it. I can guarantee you that. So we will
Very
be
kind
right
of you.
back after
We're
this.
trying.
Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing. To return the wallet. To fix the mistake. To respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and there's Rochelle right there. And boy, is she had a day. And Cole Devlin is with us. And Cole, I want to thank you, first of all, for being here. I want to thank you for being the person that you are and the man that you are. And not only that, the human being that you are going to be going down the road, doing what you're doing. It's just, it makes me happy that there are young people like you guys that are out there, and you're going to change the world. You're going to go much farther than people like me did, because you're doing it so much younger, and there's so much more time, and you're going to get so smarter. So if I could speak English, that would be good. So much smarter, and that really works. Michelle, go ahead.
Cool. I wish I could just sit down and talk to you in a room for like hours so that we could like absorb everything that each other's learned. But the way you put things into perspective reminds us, no matter who you are, why you are, what you have, all of those things, we are still human. And me and Kevin talk about that all the time. Like, hello, it's okay. And that I've got a lot of questions that are building up in my mind, but that's what I want to talk about first, because I don't think, even for us as children, we're a little more aware, which brought a lot more anxiety. And now we're working with kids who we see there's no awareness. It's just confusion. And to be able to sit there in front of them and say, hey, wherever you're at in your life, whatever you're feeling, I get emotional talking about this because I've experienced this, helping my cousin go through a learning curve, but it's okay. And I don't expect anything of you, but I want you to feel fulfilled in yourself and give yourself the space and time to find who you are through these things, You can choose whatever direction you'd like to take this, but not only to tell a kid it's okay, but to allow them the space to say, find out who you are, and I'm going to be right here to love you along that journey. Like, what things have you experienced that we as adults can also take on through our life?
Yeah, well, you spoke to all that really beautifully, Michelle, and especially the point about awareness. It's something I've been thinking on quite a bit the last few years because awareness can sometimes feel like a stone that sinks us, but it's also the key that can set us free. We have to be aware of our lives and what's going on in it in order to truly impact those things and have some semblance of control over it. And as we were just talking about, control is a really lovely idea that a lot of people seem to be pretty big on right now in the greater sphere of the world. But ultimately, we don't have control all the time. So how do we control the controllables, our attitude, our perspective, our work ethic, and hopefully have the impact on our life and the world around us that we really want to? And I think what you're speaking to about youth, just giving them space to be. There's so much pressure on everyone right now, especially to be the best that they can be in the face of all the problems that we're facing as a species, as humanity. And I think ultimately giving people just the space to find out who they are and express themselves in the special way that they can will have more people engaged with civics and the community at large because they see themselves in the equation or the formula ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, a lot of young people don't see where they fit in. Therefore, why do I care about this stuff? Why should I try? Why should I vote? Why should I show up to demonstrations? Why should I do all these things? What's it going to add up to? And we, as the adults who have a little bit more experience behind us, hopefully can help them to see that the efforts that we put into being our best selves and showing up in this world authentically and sharing our truth, sharing our piece of our story whenever we feel empowered to do so, can make an impact and can give people staying power. It's just something, unfortunately, that I think everybody struggles with at different points, but especially when you're young. And then also during a time like this, I think everybody's struggling. I think everybody's going through it with their mental health because if you're conscious and you have a heart, it's hard to see what's going on in the world today and not feel emotionally charged by it to some degree. So that's where I just really try to channel for youth their passions into a path that is truly their own so that they feel like, hey, I have a place here. I'm going to stick around for a while. I'm going to do everything that I can.
Cole, I have to ask you, Kevin, please.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't let it leave. Don't let it leave me. Because I'm realizing that even for Kevin, he can probably relate to us as to there weren't so many open ideas to a path of who you could be. And I feel like kids are overwhelmed now because there are so many options of who you get to decide you are and why. Well, isn't that just like so conflicting and doesn't it help maybe to simplify that now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've never seen as many paths as we do today with the visibility that we have and how interconnected we are as a community. But at the same time, the pressure to stand up in front of all those forces and be in the public eye so much, because I feel like with social media and everything else today, how much is truly private? And so I see a lot of youth getting psyched out before they even have their real opportunity. But we got to give kids a chance just to even show up and try. And so I feel like we might be overcomplicating things at this point. As human beings, we need attention, we need love, we need respect. And if we're able to provide that consistently to kids with a strong foundation in tow, they can do amazing things. But I can't imagine being 18 years old right now, having gone through the last 5, 6, 7 years and feeling super inspired or put together, or I'm going to go up in the face of all this and just take it on. I'd be freaking out too. I'm freaking out already in certain situations, but I'm just fortunate to have a strong voice and a really strong backing at this point. So that's why with kids, like I don't put words in their mouths. I don't try to put ideas in their heads about who they can be. I want to empower them to really find their best self, be their true self, and see how much that shining can just create a positive chain reaction in a way on the world. So, and sorry, that didn't really answer what you're talking about, Michelle. I just appreciate
everything you said was perfect.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, these are my notes, by the way, y'all. I have story, work, dream/hope. So far so good, I guess. I'm just going with the flow.
That makes it more fun. for us because it's a
Agreed.
conversation. Because I let me give you an example. Let's go back, way back to the Wayback Machine, to the 1970s, when I was of coming of age and was in high school and until 75 and stuff. There was no social media. There was no computers. There were no cell phones. We were lucky to have a transistor radio that we could listen to the local radio station on. And so it was a lot simpler then. We didn't have people that we didn't know becoming influencers at 15 years old that we're now holding ourselves up to as an example of what everybody should be. So
Yeah.
it was a lot simpler then, and now it's like the kids are feeling like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? What am I going to be? How am I going to make $1 million? And I don't want to go through the things that we did. Like my first job was working for an insurance salesman, calling for expiration dates on car insurance, and which was really a lot simple. It was a simpler time. How are the kids? Because I drove a bus for 12 years, and I saw so many kids get on the bus, and they didn't seem to have any hope that they were going to be okay. They were just, it was heartbreaking to watch some of these kids. How are you? And because you're really knee deep in the thick of it. How are you helping some of these kids realize, number one, they don't have to do everything by the time they're 17. That they can take time to grow, they can take time to learn, they build a foundation for themselves, and then they can decide what they want to do. But everybody's the pressure. Oh, it's the pressure, isn't it?
It's definitely a thing. And as I even alluded to in my story, like I felt that pressure pretty immensely as a kid who was set up to be successful in a lot of the traditional ways. But then the kids I work with right now, and I can kind of bridge the gap from where I ended my story to where I'm at now. I work primarily with foster youth in King County here in Washington State. And for people who are unfamiliar with Washington State, King County is our biggest county by far. I think as of a couple of years ago, I don't know if this is still current or relevant, it was the second biggest and second most diverse county in the country, in the United States.
I can
And
believe it.
so we had a lot of things going on here, y'all, and unfortunately not everything is good. So reaching kids at an early enough age or at a critical juncture where they might be saying, I'm about to give up, I'm gonna give in, I'm gonna do what my dad did that unfortunately put him behind bars, or these kids that are telling me I can make a quick buck over there. That looks pretty attractive to people right now, because what else is there to really hope on or dream on? And that's where I think a lot of people are getting kind of confused or mixed up on the whole crime debate that's going on right now. I mean, how are breathing techniques and gratitude journals going to put food on the table when you got 300 kids and you're working 2 jobs already and you just can't make ends meet? And so the kids that grow up in these homes that are broken, unfortunately, or have been to 10 different homes, because the foster care system, unfortunately, is not very trauma informed, it's really tough for them to have any hope for life or any idea of like why I want to try to be a good person to contribute. What has the world given to me? And so for a kid who came out of West Seattle, which is a pretty affluent neighborhood, has a lot of resources and stuff, when I first started working with youth in this particular sector, it was a crash course. It was a PhD on like life in the real world and what it's like to actually make ends meet when it's not on a piece of paper. And I'm seeing kids that truly have been to about 10 different homes that are still just trying to find general stability before they try to grow and shine in life. And so my whole thing is I really like to empower my clients to see that they're worthy as they are. And if they're given the proper support, they can find a path that's meaningful to them where they can shine and in the same route contribute to the world in a way that we really need it. And so I do a lot of holding the hope and holding the structure for kids. I know it's really tough right now, but I'm here to work with you. And I'm truly here to work with you. This is your story. This is your journey. How can I walk alongside you to help empower you to be the best person that you can be so that the world can benefit from all your gifts and talents and things that make you special? So it's tough. I mean, especially coming out of the pandemic too. I mean, there's kids that I've worked with or talked to that went to school one day sophomore year, and then they went home for the pandemic, and then they never returned to their high school. Or the flip side of that, kids who COVID hit around the time they're supposed to enter preschool. And so now they're a couple grades in and they don't even know how to like manage themselves in public settings or socially. And so how does a kid then get an education and thrive? It's very complicated. And there's so many factors at play that hopefully I can, by talking today, help people become more aware of.
Well, a couple things. First of all, we need to take our halftime break. But before we go there, I did want to mention that in the foster care system nationally, now, Washington, I live here, I pay taxes here, and I think we do a little bit better of a job. Perfectly? No, not anywhere near. But did you know that nationally, 25% of kids that are in foster care and that age out of foster care, 25% have got a high school education. And because of that number being so low, many of them end up saying to themselves, oh, am I going to go to work for McDonald's? I don't know how to read very well. And so I can't be a cashier and I can't read. So maybe, selling drugs or stealing stuff is a much better way for me to make a living. Yeah, and it's not much of a living. So a lot of kids then end up being incarcerated. And we as a society are so short-sighted because what we don't realize is if we gave those kids every opportunity to live their life and to have hope, which is what you're providing them, which is really cool. And thank you for doing this. We could lower the incarceration rates. We could raise the level of people that are here for the positive purpose and to become members of society in a really good way, rather than putting them in jail, and then that becomes a revolving door, and
Absolutely.
they never get to be the person that they are. And think of the amount of brain power that we are losing in this society because we're not taking care of our kids the way we should. And okay, I'll get off my soapbox now, but Cole Devlin is with us. Brachelle left. I'm hoping she's going to return, but she occasionally has internet connectivity issues, but we need to take our break and we'll be right back. We'll be right back with Cole Devlin, and thank you for the work you're doing.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
Are you looking for your daily dose of inspiration? Stay connected to all your favorite shows, music, and news with the Brushwood Media Network app. From Positive Talk Radio to Greatest Vibes Unplugged and so many more uplifting voices around the world, everything you need is right in one place. It's easy to use, too. Always available and designed to keep you inspired 24 hours a day. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com and download the app, and you will always have Brushwood Media available on your smartphone. Download it now and make inspiration and music and conversation part of your everyday. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Cole Devlin is with us. Brachelle is taking a quick break. I'm hoping that her internet will return, and she will be back. Cole, I want to ask you, in that piece that we did about the Brushwood Media app, it talks about inspiration. What inspires kids today?
It's a great question. I think ultimately a lot of things inspire kids. But one thing that I think consistently inspires kids, especially kids in need, is visibility and seeing that there's people who might have gone through things similar to them. I mean, not exactly the same. We're all unique in our different ways. But people who have gone through stuff that have made it through to the other side, that hopefully they can do that too. They can aspire to do something similar. And so I think just giving kids hope in the most basic sense sets them up to do so many wonderful things in life. But we need a strong foundation to come back to. So inspiring kids to be their best selves, to be their authentic selves, and to find the area of life or society that they can really lock in and contribute to is one way to get them to stick around for the long haul and hopefully contribute over decades, not just years.
Because there are a lot of kids that feel lost and with very little hope. And without hope, you don't have a lot. So we as a society need to do a much better job of taking care of our young people in the schools and stuff. Is there enough really good things? Well, let me give you an example. I know that music departments are in some schools are going away or have gone away because of budget cuts and things like athletics and things like that and drama and some of the extracurricular things. Are there stuff for the kids to do who can sink their teeth into doing something valuable that they can be proud of?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. And this might be a good segue for me to kind of talk about the modality or approach that I take to working with kids.
Yes,
And
please.
yeah, good, thanks for setting me up, man. You're really good at this. Um, I currently work for the Y Social Impact Center. I might have some colleagues who are watching this right now or will be watching it later. What up, y'all? Thanks for joining. And we do something there, and it's done many different places, but we're one of the places that does it the best called wraparound, where we truly look at a kid as a whole person instead of just whatever their diagnosis is or their circumstances are, and then try to build a team around them that they ultimately can lead later on that kind of affects or at least considers all the different areas of their life that are relevant at that time to comprehensively wrap around them and support them to be the best people that they can be, because mental health is only going to be affected so much by a gratitude journal. I love a gratitude journal. I think that's a great practice for anybody. But if the kid is struggling with food insecurity or housing or is on their third or fourth foster home in the last year, how are we really going to reach them on that deep level that we need to reach them to support them so that they can just get out of survival mode and even consider thriving? And so that's why I really love doing what I do. And I've done this particular approach for about 10 years now. When I started at Valley Cities, I was their first wraparound youth peer counselor. I now am a wraparound therapist at the Y Social Impact Center. And as I get further into my career and start doing private practice and hopefully have my little youth and family center where there would be an art and music space, a culinary space for kids to pop in after school. And then you can go meet with Mr. Cole in the back in his office where he does his private practice type thing. I want to bring wraparound to basically all sectors of life, because we really need to see people for their whole person in order to support them truly. And I think when we're able to do that and give them stability in a sense so that they can dream big and aim high, wonderful things happen. But unfortunately, as we've alluded to with a lot of our conversation today, that's not happening enough. It wasn't happening enough 10 years ago. It certainly is not happening enough right now. And so how do we as a society see that our future is dependent? It hinges upon our youth and their well-being. And if we want to get out of some of the messes that we've created that we're currently in now, we absolutely need them to be plugged in and see their place in all of this in order for them to make a big impact, like they should, and like I'm hoping for, what I'm banking on, basically.
Well, and I'll tell you, they may not understand yet, but they will, that my generation screwed everything up really pretty good, I must say. And they're going to be the ones that are going to be, it's going to be important for them to get through it, because they're going to have to work to correct some of the things that we did. And I'm seeing that, in some kids, but there is not a safety. Well, let me ask you, is there a good enough safety net for the kids that are in trouble, or they're a single family home? Mom is working 12 hours a day just to put food on. SNAP is not being funded right now, and starting today, although a federal judge just said that, oh, no, you have to do that, federal government, but we'll see. So there's hunger. There's I it is so daunting. I admire you for doing this, because no one person is going to make a difference. It's got to be a movement, and it's got to be a village. It's got to be all of us.
Absolutely, well said. We can do amazing things individually, but truly we're at our best when we act as a collective. And I think, unfortunately, our country right now doesn't quite see that. That's gotten out of view. And so here is everybody in their corners waiting for somebody else to move and point the fingers. But what is that ultimately doing besides making this mess even messier? It's time for us to really try to come together to address some of these things, understanding that SNAP and food stamps and all that are foundational to some people having at least a decent life. And if they're barely getting by, if they're struggling to survive, what are they going to do beyond just contribute the basics to society? Where's the hope? Where's the inspiration, as we we're just talking about? And so, yeah, that's why I feel very fortunate to have started my work within mental health doing wraparound, where it's not just the therapist in the room with the kid. I go to schools, I'll go to the park, I take them to get ice cream sometimes. We'll do mock interviews, because understanding that it's a comprehensive collective effort or supports that are needed in order for kids to truly thrive. And it's needed now more than ever. So I just appreciate this platform to talk about my work and really just illuminate that there's amazing things going on. And there's incredible people out there working really hard. But I think a lot of our work is lost right now because there's so many gaps in that safety net. I mean, wraparound came about because of a lawsuit with foster care in Washington State a little over 10 years ago, where we realized that kids coming out of foster care were just straight falling through the cracks, going to juvie, going to jail, not able to really build anything meaningful for themselves, and therefore break the cycle for their family, do better for their kids. And so wraparound actually comes out of the Inuit community up in Alaska, where they realize, like, okay, yeah, these kids need help, but like, how do we get the help to them? Does it mean we make them travel far to go to 5 different appointments, or do we bring the team to them and try to wrap around them comprehensively, as I spoke about, to truly set them up for success down the line?
That is so important. Rochelle's back. She's back. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I'm waiting for my camera to load up. Cole, I've been following along still with the conversation. I hate Wi-Fi sometimes, but I just got a notice that it was down for the up until I know. So I'm connecting it to my hotspot. But what you're saying is so prevalent, especially now, because there's so many opportunities and ways and choices that kids are given, and they don't really even know the choices that they do make and why that is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well said. I mean, get in here, Kevin. What do you got to say?
Well, no, go. You should host a radio show. That's what you should do.
You sound like a radio host, sir. And I actually, a funny part of my personal history was my sister used to date a radio host and jockey for Kiss 106.1. And so when I was a kid, I was like 13 in the summertime, and their traffic person was off on vacation for a few weeks. And so I did traffic on the radio for 2 weeks as a 13-year-old, having never driven a car. So I've been fortunate to actually be on the radio before. And yeah, this has a great vibe. This feels just like that.
Yes, indeed. Who was the disc jockey that can you name him?
Yeah, he used to go by Jubal Flag, but now he goes by Jubal Fresh, and I think he's on 92.5.
Oh, that
He's
must
a pretty
be
big. Yeah, I think
Yes,
it's like
actually, I've met him, Cole. He's an amazing person.
Yeah, he dated my sister for quite some time. He lived in my parents' basement for a little bit. Used to write stand-up comedy jokes. No way. Yeah. So he got me on there doing the traffic, and then I also read 50 Cent's autobiography in my prepubescent voice. It was pretty funny.
So this is a small world, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy, Cole, is we talk about one thing that I've realized is something we can use as a tool and a skill for kids to connect is music, but not the kind of music coming out now, but music that speaks to your soul, music that speaks to your mind, music that grounds you. I just thought about that 30 minutes ago when you were speaking, and this gentleman you're talking about, same with him, that I met him at a concert. He's on a radio show, and I don't think we use that tool enough. What do you think?
I totally agree. And that's where I think people hopefully will start to view mental health as more than just, this is my diagnosis, this is the treatment I receive, this is what I'm doing to manage it. Mental health really speaks to a part of ourselves that sometimes we can't get to unless we use creative means or whatever kind of alleyway or avenue that we typically use in order to express ourselves and be seen in this world. And so what we're able to accomplish by doing creative efforts and creating music or doing writing or using photography to make our mark on this world, I think is more than just like an outlet or a hobby for people. It's a very vital contribution to this world. And then also a big part of why kids sometimes struggle to see how they can contribute when they're 17, 18 years old and they don't know everything about civics, but they can play the guitar and sing a mean song. And maybe the world needs to hear their story through that. So I'm a big proponent of It's not just us doing the narrative therapy here with this workbook. It's let's just jam on some instruments for a few minutes. We have an amazing music therapist at the Y right now who I really look up to and how he does these types of things. But absolutely, I mean, there's so many different facets of who we are as a person, and to truly honor all of that, we got to be able to get it out there. So creative means, as somebody who likes to write, draw, take photos, I like to sing a little, I play some guitar. It's something that's absolutely imperative for me to keep my own balance and then hopefully help provide balance to other people.
Beautiful.
You know, I just had a thought. Would it be possible for us to grab several kids from your neck of the woods and create a show around them and to have a conversation with them that then will stay up forever on Positive Talk Radio? Would you be up for putting something like that together?
Yeah, I would be, man. I think we talked about that when we initially met. I think in that case, and this is another wonderful segue, so you're good at doing this. I think in that case, I would probably draw from my experience and work with the Spark Peer Learning Center, where we have youth leaders emerging all the time who are already getting involved in amazing ways. Where, to kind of back it up a little bit, the Spark Peer Learning Center, an organization that's been around for close to a decade now, I think maybe a couple years off, that I met after doing a public speaking opportunity at a mental health conference here in Washington State. They're an amazing organization that's all about empowering youth where they're at and helping them to find their pathways to helping people or supporting the community like we've been talking about. And so they do that through teaching and training on youth peer support, and then also providing job opportunities afterwards once they've been certified and have all the skills, the requisite skills to keep their own balance as they work with people. And they're actually the ones that I'm the president of the board for them, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. They're the ones who are doing what we were just talking about, where they're getting into juvenile detention facilities to teach kids about this stuff so that when they come out, instead of just falling back into their old habits, they have an opportunity to maybe help people with their lived experience in a way that they might not have ever even considered. And therefore, they're jazzed about that. They're excited. They all of a sudden have a newfound source of hope. And out of the Spark Peer Learning Center, we're currently working on the Washington State Youth Leadership Network. And there are some incredible young people who are leading the charge on that, who I think are great at public speaking and would be good for an opportunity like this. So I would love to bring them on board. The clients I work with, I got to keep HIPAA in mind. But those youth leaders who are inspiring me and basically teaching me at this point too, I would love to give them a platform. I get to talk a lot. I'd love to help provide the platform too.
Well, and I got to tell you, Rochelle, what do you think?
Kevin, don't ask me that question. I'm like, let's do it tomorrow. because it's such a big impact. Me and you and Cole, we're all at different ages, but to have, like, as I mentioned, Cole, we learn so much from these kids and what they're realizing and what they can teach us and what they're helping each other with. And no matter what age you're at, you can take that with you. So
absolutely, everybody's got a story to share and wisdom to impart. And I don't think enough people give young people the credit that at 17, 18 years old, they can have wisdom to share. They might not have that high school degree just yet, and they might not be going on to college, but they can be sages in their own sense. And so that's where I feel incredibly fortunate to have been given the platforms that I have. I've done a number of public speaking opportunities at this point, spoken at a mental health conference with about 400 people. I've spoken to people at international audiences. And I think it's amazing, but I also think it's largely because I was right place, right time, and I'm a white guy who makes words sound good. But the young people that I've met who have been able to elevate to my level and even beyond because they were just given an opportunity to speak and share has been incredible. So at this point, I'm very fortunate to do things like this, but I'm also really passionate about making sure other people get the opportunity too.
And by the way, just so you know, if you're looking for an international, worldwide opportunity to touch a lot of people, you found it. We're here.
Welcome.
Yeah, I saw you had people chiming in from like Kenya or something on the show yesterday. That was really cool. That's an awesome reach out. It seems to you.
Yes, we have a gentleman. His name is Samuel, and he has a Hope Center in Kenya, and he feeds 300. He would be on the show now, but and would listen in, but he's busy making breakfast and lunch for 350 kids that he feeds on Saturdays in Kenya, and it's remarkable. There are so many. Cole, the cool thing is there's so many remarkable people in the world right now that are They're working to help, but there needs to be more, and there needs to be more
Mhm.
people like you. But I would love, Rochelle and I, we could do an extra show that we do for a couple hours, and we could have a bunch of kids come in and talk about their experience of life and share some of their wisdom and all that, and also some of the people. By the way, we've blown through our last break, so we're not going to take it.
I wasn't gonna
Um,
say it.
but I want to tell you a real quick story. When I was 8 years old, I made the decision that I was going to go into Little League Baseball. And it was either I was going to audition for a play or I was going to become a baseball player. I decided to become a baseball player. I met a guy. He didn't have a kid on the team. His name is Scotty Reed, and he was one of the coaches that guided me through. I ended up being with him all the way until I was 12 and aged out. He made sure that I was on his team because we had a connection, we had a bond. Much more than my father or my mother. The bond I had with him was really large, and it made a great big difference in my life because he gave me nuggets of wisdom and things, and it wasn't because he had a kid on the team, it was because he cared, and it wasn't lost on me for that. And we need more adults that are willing to do that in the proper way of working with kids and helping them lead their best lives. I was a coach, I was a Cub master, and most people don't do those things. I would encourage people to do more of that because it
Absolutely.
is so needed. And you are going to be kind of a ringleader of all this, aren't you?
I wouldn't say that. I'm just fortunate to be in a position where I do get a lead and I'm passionate about leading, but I think true leadership is empowering others to rise to the occasion and the challenges too. It doesn't all have to funnel through me. And I might be a bit of a figurehead for Spark or youth peer support in Washington State. I mean, gosh, I'm getting old and not as much of a peer support specialist these days as I am a therapist, despite I always lead with my peer support skills, because that's where you make the real connection with people. I think that I've been given some incredible opportunities and visibility and chances to grow within myself. And I think everybody can do this if supported in the right way. So, yeah, just thanks for giving me the chance to share my journey to getting to this point.
Hey, Burchelle, how do you think I feel when Cole says I'm getting old now?
Well, I think more about how I feel because I get it. Because life is so damn fast paced for us now. But
Hmm.
as we learn, we get to provide those same things. And Kevin's talked about the opportunity and the nuggets of knowledge. Um, we're here for each other. We're not here to take those and I think a lot of what kids are seeing now is, well, I can't incorporate myself, or I don't want to tell anybody, or I'm seeing a lot of kids say, I don't have friends, but they choose that. And I'm one of them too, Cole, don't tell anybody. Um, but we get to put out the energy and we get to have the choice on how we get to direct these kids in what we're doing. And then Kevin's here on the back end to support and guide and um, maybe give us those nuggets that we're just passing down through generations. And um, one thing that I've really tried to bring to the teenagers in my world is life is a blessing and you get to do with it as you will. Don't take advantage. And that's powerful for so many reasons. You understand that, right?
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of choice in life. And I think where I get really passionate about this whole process is just making sure that kids have choices, multiple choices, the
Yes.
ability to weigh them, to think about who they really are and what they want to be and how they want to contribute to this world. Because as we've talked about with some of my work, I work with some of the populations that unfortunately didn't have a choice from the get-go. And so now they're trying
Yeah.
to live a life according to other people's standards or expectations. And that can be really demoralizing sometimes because if you're not getting to be your authentic self, it's hard to truly shine. And so I think everybody in this world can contribute in big ways. We just got to give them the space and the process to do so.
And I want to introduce one of our favorite listeners
I
from
told
a
him to
whole.
join in.
Oh, did you?
I
Oh,
know
you're.
it's like 3 or something a.m., right? Where Samuel is. Hello, Samuel. We love you. I wish he could see me
That's so
waving. My
lovely.
camera is horrible, but Samuel is doing the same thing with these kids of letting them know that they're heard and they're seen. They have these choices and they get to be loved for whoever they are. So he says, greetings, brother Kevin, sister Rochelle, and guest Cole Devlin. Receiving greetings from Kiberia slums in Nairobi, Kenya. We are watching you guys with this favorite program, Positive Talk Radio Show. And thank you so much again, Cole, for being here and sharing this message and letting kids know that they are accepted. You said that word not too long ago, for who they are, and get the choice to be whoever they want to be, in a healthy and guided space without destructiveness, because that's they love that.
Well, and I'll say y'all too, I was a kid that did well in school, was engaged in extracurriculars. I still had my rough moments and messy times, especially as I was that young punk rocker just trying to find my place in the world and using creative means to find spaces where I felt like I truly belonged. I was a troubled kid in many ways, but I was in a life and a situation with circumstances that kept me out of some of the worst parts of it. And so
Yeah.
thank you, Samuel, for joining and chiming in. I really appreciate you doing so, and thank you for all your hard work. That sounds like an amazing effort that you're doing.
I just had a thought too, and I'd love your opinion on this, because I played high school football at a time when they did not have academic standards that they adhered to. I want to know. So consequently, I got to play even though I didn't meet some of the academic standards. But I was just thinking, why do we have these academic standards? And then so that kids are locked out. Some of the kids that are least among us are locked out when they could be part of a team. High school football was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Had I not qualified for it and didn't have it, I wouldn't have learned a lot of the stuff. Why do we do that to our? Because we should have the kids be able to participate, even if they're not academically sound, which I wasn't, but I am now because I can read occasionally and stuff like that. So, but why don't we do that?
Well, because
I
what
think-
Kevin said, Cole, I want to take that a step further, because when they have that, they actually do better in their academics.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes. And thanks for chiming in with that, Michelle. This is where I could get myself into a little bit of trouble, because I am definitely a people person. I'm not so much a system person. And I know that systems exist for logistics and organization and all that stuff. But sometimes, hey, thank you. I'm glad you got back on camera for the final few minutes. But I think that unfortunately, sometimes we adhere to systems and processes too much because we want the organization, we want the logic. And unfortunately, that can box some people out of even getting a chance to try these things that could be absolutely life-changing, where they find their path, their way to contribute, like I've spoken about today, and then become such a positive influence on the world. And so I absolutely, with my kids that I work with in foster care, like wraparound is all about, okay, it's a bunch of professionals now, but how do we bring in natural supports and community so that you can sustain these efforts and see that you belong in this world and you found your lane. And that absolutely is through sports and after school activities or creative means or whatever. The more barriers we have to that, the more barriers we have to our youth getting well. And so I'm really passionate about making sure that kids have opportunities of all sorts. Oh, you want to play sports? Awesome. I know this coach at this school. Maybe I can put a word in for you. Oh, you like to sing and play guitar? Let's do that together. I want to help you pursue this more if it really matters to you. Because that's how we set ourselves up to do some of the harder things and to really show up in all the different areas of life. So it's a comprehensive thing, y'all.
Cole, I got to tell you, bless you and bless your soul for doing what you're doing. Cole Devlin has been our guest.
Sir.
Rochelle, any last words before we go? And then,
Well, Cole, I would love to extend this opportunity. I'd love to have you back on the show to talk about all the things that we didn't, and also keep up with your journey. And these kids I'd love to see some of them and allow our audience to realize that kids understand too. And I think that's the message you're sharing for us adults is we can think that we are just as far as them and we've been through it and they don't understand, but they really do. So I am more than blessed to have spent this time with you. Thank you for showing up and being here. Again, if you are curious, go and search up Cole Devlin. He is everywhere. And we've run over time, but I really, really want you to share all of the ways that that people can get in contact with what you're doing and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. I want to help more.
Yeah, I'll just take a quick minute to do that then. Thanks, Michelle. And yes, just thanks y'all in general for this opportunity. This was amazing. I had a great time and look forward to potentially doing this again soon, whether it's me telling a little bit more about my own personal story or doing what I love where I can set up some amazing youth leaders to just shine in their own way. And yeah, y'all, I mean, being a 32-year-old, I do have some social media. Facebook is one that I use that kind of dates me in a way. I'm also on Instagram, co_dev. And then LinkedIn is something that I'm getting more involved in. That's where Kevin actually found me. So you can find me there just by searching my name that you see on screen right now, Cole Devlin. And really, however you find me, y'all, I would love to connect. The reason I've been able to do so much and go so far is because of my connections. They're my favorite asset, my most important asset in my life. That's my source of wealth, is my relationships and the sense of community that I've been able to cultivate. And I welcome anybody to join me in that. If you want to reach out and connect, I'd be happy to talk.
Amen.
You now have another connection with Rochelle and I.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'll be in contact.
Indeed. And thank you, everybody. Rochelle, any last words? Because we're over time. Demi is going to be yelling at us, but that's okay.
Demi, I'm sorry. We love you. And thank you for everybody who's joined us in. Enjoy your day. Be safe tonight if you are listening to this when it is that day. But we love you, and we'll be back next week for more amazing content.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got.